For a long time I have wondered what would actually happen if you killed virtually anything you can lay your eyes on in MGS3 all the way up until you face the Sorrow. How long can the fight possibly take? I know that if you play the game in a non-lethal way and beat the prior bosses via stamina without killing anyone else in between, you only get to see the 4 bosses prior to the Sorrow. And the fight ends fairly quickly, so that's that. But how long can the fight realistically go on for? I intend to play through the game on New Game Plus normal and use the Patriot alongside any other weapon I can find to wreak absolute havoc and misery upon the enemies and animals of MGS3. If you are morbidly curious like me, feel free to join me as I rampage through the swamps and jungles of Snake Eater in an attempt to find out how long the Sorrow fight could possibly last while slaughtering every living being and turning Naked Snake into an apex predator along the way. I booted up the game and due to my pre-existing skill issues, loaded the game with my New Game Plus normal save. I then survived the Halo jump and retrieved Snake's gear from the nearby tree, thus my war against Mother Nature commenced. I equipped my trusty Patriot with an unlimited supply of ammo and headed for the swamp. I then proceeded to eradicate the crocodile population. Heading forwards into enemy territory, I slept the first victim and saved him for later. Immediately afterwards, I fumbled my buttons and accidentally slit a guy's throat during an untimely interrogation. Returning to the former victim, who somehow miraculously survived getting stabbed in the head close to 8 fucking times, I gave up and rearranged his face. I then briefly attempted stealth, whilst fumbling my controls like a bumbling retard. This in turn resulted in multiple body bags as I gradually proceeded onto the bridge. On the bridge is where another shootout took place, leaving several corpses in my wake. I eventually make it past the bridge, almost falling to my death on numerous occasions. It is also here where I decided to equip Spirit Camo to zuck stamina out with minimal effort, eventually making my way into the industrial complex. It is also where I choked the guy to death whilst his own friend just stood there in awe and watched. So I did the same thing to him and proceeded to run 5-head experiments on the soldiers.
ひとまずこれで移動は可能。こうして呼吸を合わせてる限りはこの兵士が私に気づくことはない。問題はそう、この広い基地内のどこに原人が隠されているのか。
After a difficult battle, I rendezvoused with Sokolov. It is also where I forgot blasting Ocelot would result in time paradox, hence I had to reload the game and wasted his best ofrendo instead. With that, Virtuous Mission was complete and everything in my sight, including a handful of animal life, was obliterated, adding further onto the kill count. After spending time recuperating in the hospital, it was finally time to begin Operation Snake Eater. I touched down on the ground and made my way to the objective. Unfortunately, I ran into the boss, who promptly snapped my only lethal weapon like a fucking twig. Thankfully, she didn't check my backpack and noticed that I have a Patriot with unlimited ammunition. I wasted the local patrol with such efficiency that they were unable to form an articulate response. Thus once again, I was back on the bridge, choking out dudes left and right until this happened. Thus I finally got to meet Eva, while Snake spent the majority of the cutscene staring at her bazonkers. Night had passed and it was now daytime. I exited the room only to be greeted by a 12 gauge straight to the chest. I gradually dispatched the GRU unit one by one, eventually resulting in me looking around for the last guy. I actually forgot that the last guy sometimes doesn't move from his initial spot, so I wasted a further 5 to 10 minutes looking around for him like an idiot. Now it was time to cross the lake. This is where I would ramp up my war against Mother Nature to 11. I meticulously eradicated every and any animal in sight, laying down an ungodly firestorm of lead into the skull of any animal that dared approach me. Once I was done, it was time for a small detour to pick up the best item in the game. On my way out, I sidetracked on my phone and I got Snake permanently scarred for life. That's what you get for looking at your phone, guys. With the best item now in my possession, resting comfortably atop Snake's head, I attempted to execute a guard via the fence. As you can see, it didn't work out so well. Once in the base, I decided to not only kill everyone but to also blow up the helicopter and their lifetime supply of Shin Ramyun. You see, blowing up the helicopter equals hovercrafts in the mountain, equals more casualties. Once everything had been blown up, it was time for Ocelot, where I deployed my secret strategy of standing still, holding R1 and square at the same time. Thus, I fell into the pit and had a lot of contemplation to do, as I forgot to pick up the thermal goggles, and it had been about since I picked up the MVGs in this cave. In fact, I distinctly remember being stuck on this part as a kid because RTX God rays were blasting through my fucking window. Coming from a mentally impoverished background, curtains were a luxury my poor brain could not afford. Hence, I had to wait until evening, without even realizing that if you wait 10 minutes, Snake's eyes will adjust to the darkness. After what felt like an eternity, I finally made it to the NVGs. Of course, I had to deal with Michael Morbius and his gang of equally mediocre friends. Thus I could finally see in the dark and see what I was going to be shooting. Wiping out everything on the way, I finally made my way towards the pain. The fight itself took much longer than expected because, as you will soon learn, I don't know how to throw grenades in this game. The Pain is a pretty smart guy, considering he continuously blasted a rock instead of me for the majority of the fight. With the Pain dead, it was time to purge the remainder of the cave. I used whatever grenades I had left and completely forgot about the claymores. It was time to move onwards through the valley of hovercrafts. I swiftly moved into the gun store to pick up the SVD for a very specific reason, but not before I curbed the local wildlife numbers with the Patriot. I killed so many animals, in fact, I actually got the achievement for collecting every type of fish in this playthrough alone. It was time for the end, to me his accelerated end, with a swift bullet to the head. The flying wheel scared me so shitless, I ran back into the previous area to collect myself. Once I collected myself, I proceeded to gun down everyone at the entrance to the warehouse, ending the whole charade with a crunchy nut shot right into the balls. I was unfortunately discovered inside of the warehouse. Here's some footage of how that went down. Being the consistent man that I am, I blew up the food stores and made my way to Granin's lab. Once again, making sure everything in my path was dead. Once inside the compound, I took out several more victims and eventually made my way inside the reception, where I started blasting every single dude in sight. Some even get nut shots in the process. Here's some footage of the shenanigans that took place in Granin's facility.
Nice.
With all that out of the way, I finally made my way to Granin. He talked Snake's ear off for the entire night, and by the time I came to, everyone miraculously came back to life. Of course, the night before, I blew up their food supply, so naturally everyone is starving. One poor fellow was unlucky enough to take a full swing from the patriot to the nuts. After a lengthy shootout, it was time to clear out the walls out of human life and head into the showdown with the fear. Remember how I forgot the thermal goggles? Well, I would soon learn that wouldn't be a problem, especially when you have infinite ammo. Once I wasted 60 Spider-Man, I proceeded to devastate the warehouse again. From this point onwards, it was just a handful of victims. However, on the way to the ends area, I took a detour to pick up the shoddy and waste some more dudes and wildlife along the way. Then, the game surprised me. Since this was the first time I killed the Yen early with a well-placed bullet to the skull, I expected this boss arena to be empty, devoid of life. Yet a game that was released 19 years ago still surprises me to this day. I was ambushed by the Gru. That means more body bags, and most importantly, more numbers for the end screen kill count. Once I tracked each one of them down with the TGs and the SVD, I proceeded onwards onto the beloved ladder climb, and up into the mountains.
With darkness and silence for the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What I feel in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you, Snake Eater. In my life, there'll be no one else. Crime is the way I fly to you, Snake Eater. I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater. Someday you'll go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. It's the thrill, the drive to survive. For the day we see new life. Would I give my life, not for honor, but for you, Snake Eater. In my time, there'll be no one else.
So, my killing spree in the mountains was off to a stealthy start. Until... This ultimately resulted in a 20-minute shootout that was ultimately pretty fun. I did not expect there to be so many helicopters though. Once all the mountainside life had been wiped out, it was time for a quick hug and tug with Eva, only to then do it all again. It was finally time to fight the angriest man alive. It is also here where I realised the healing radio is bugged? I mean, I think. I listened to it for a minute or two and my health didn't even move an inch. I also realised I made a big mistake and I didn't pick up the fire camo the last time I played the game. No matter, as I clapped the Fury by getting really lucky with a barrel placement, thus I had finally arrived in Grozny Grad, mere minutes away from my goal of facing the Sorrow. At least, it would have been minutes if I didn't kill every single human being 2 times over. I knocked out Raiden, but then got detected, so I just did my thing. With that, Snake got captured and got his ass beat, so it was finally time to break out of his cell. Now that I was trapped, it was time to deploy the pill strat and break out. Johnny, in his infinite wisdom, after realizing Snake was dead, simply resumed his patrol as if nothing ever happened and went about his day. It was at this point where I got back up and seriously forked him up. The same exact thing could be said for several other soldiers until I got detected, which resulted in me doing my best Ocelot impression while sneak-capping everyone in the vicinity. It was also at this point where I realised the SAA wasn't that good and I needed serious firepower, so I got the LMG and had Snake do the best Rambo impression imaginable. Thus, it was finally time to enter these sewers, finally reaching the apex of my journey. I had finally reached the Sorrow. So what actually happened? Well, not a whole lot. The entire fight was about 10 minutes long. I even decided to time it from the moment the cutscene ended all the way until we reached the end of the river. Albeit, it definitely took a lot longer than if you didn't kill anybody, and there were a few funny dialogues in between. Not a whole lot has changed. It made me think that maybe I didn't kill enough people during the run, so I decided to stir the hornet's nest a little, and downloaded a cheat table, which unfortunately was broken and didn't work as intended due to the recent patch, breaking a few things in the game. I also considered using a trainer, which was quarantined by Nexus mods. However, Anti-Big Boss is a fucking legend and deserves credit for this trainer, as it might have been quarantined by Nexus mods, it was readily available on GitHub, as an alternative of course. I did complete the game after fighting the Sorrow, just to see the stat screen, and this is what it was. Thankfully, I made a backup save from the cell, just in case. Armed with my newfound sense of purpose, I jumped back into a backup save after getting captured. Obtained the LMG again, set my ammo to 9099 and started blasting repeatedly for close to an hour, racking up an insane kill count. Here's the footage sped up. I thought that maybe if I racked up more kills, it would change the result of the fight and extend it by a little. So after all this testing, it was time to, finally again, face the sorrow, again. Here's the footage from both fights, compared, timed and sped up by 200%. Pretty surprising result. The second attempt was actually 1 second shorter than the original, despite my elevated kill count and having to pop a calorie mate mid-fight. On my first attempt, after I got out of the jail, I killed everyone on the way to the sewers and moved on fairly quickly. On the backup attempt, I did the same thing, except I hung around for close to an hour running around killing as many dudes as I could to maximize the kill count. My general conclusion on this is that the game has some sort of limitation cap whereby if you reach a certain threshold in kills, the fight with the Sorrow will be extended, but only up to a maximum amount of around 10 minutes or so. After which any more kills will not add to the length of the fight at all and will seemingly cap out in the 8 to 10 minute range. I do not know if this is only for the HD collection or if there are any differences for the original PS2 Snake Eater and Substance, however. But it has taken me 4 days to collect all of this information and run both of these attempts due to my work schedule. I hope everyone has enjoyed the video. If you leave a like and subscribe, that would help me massively. I would also once again like to give a shout out to Anti-Big Boss for the trainer, as it helped out considerably in harvesting the lives of many victims. Peace.